I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the Gospel of John, chapter 15, so let's focus on verses 1 through 4. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine keeper. Every branch in me that does not produce fruit, he removes. And he prunes every branch that produces fruit, so that it will produce more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Remain in me, and I in you. Just as a branch is unable to produce fruit by itself unless it remains on the vine, so neither can you unless you remain in me. You know, in the Bible, both Israel and Jesus are described as the vine. And the references are too extensive to list here. Obviously, Psalm 80, Hosea chapter 10, Isaiah 5, Matthew 21, Romans 9, the list goes on. But in today's passage, Jesus informs us that Israel is not a vine unto itself. Rather, he, Jesus, is the true vine. And some would say that statement is blasphemous because the vine of Israel, well, it drew its nourishment and it produced its fruit from God. But you see, that thinking rejects the deity of the Messiah. So it's ignorant of the Old Testament prophets, Micah in Micah 5:2 and Isaiah 9:6. And it especially John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, which states that Jesus created everything. And then John 1:14 says that, and the Word which created everything, he became flesh and dwelt among us. Therefore, Israel, not being a vine unto itself, has always been subject to the vineyard owner's desire to prune or to remove its branches from the greater vine. At times in Jesus' earthly ministry, there were hundreds, even thousands of disciples. And Jesus communicated that to be saved, our intellectual belief in him must be accompanied by a faith that leads to obedience. Furthermore, our obedience, empowered by his Holy Spirit, will produce fruit. A sign of our salvation is the fruit, or the growth, or the signs of his inworking in our lives. Well, that is a sign that we would bear fruit in his kingdom. The Lord would never give us a command that was impossible to accomplish. So, bearing true spiritual fruit is impossible by human means, but we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Of course, that's in Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. Branches that do not bear fruit have an apparent disconnection from the life-giving vine. And therefore, it is up to the vine keeper to determine whether the branch is dead and should be removed, or if it simply needs pruning, cutting back, and thus should abide in the vine, but with restorative care. Even the branches that bear fruit need pruning in order to remain healthy. That is, we need to stay disciplined to the word of the Lord to stay sharp. And that is to say that don't be satisfied with your present level of fruit production. It would be seasonal, and there is no season for fruit. For the believers of Jesus, that is spiritual fruit, believers should not be proud. We are connected to the vine, and our ability to bear fruit comes solely from the vine itself and not from us. So our seasons of fruit production are managed by the vine keeper. God is always inspecting us branches, looking for those unsurrendered areas in us that may hinder our ability to produce fruit for his kingdom. If your obedience to the Lord is matched with a level of pain, perhaps he's pruning you. And he may be building up your faith by placing you into situations where you must be faithful, whereas in the past you probably thought you had it all figured out. Thus, he will raise your ability to bear fruit for him. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.